Enjoy your home for the holidays with store-wide savings at Room to Room. 50% off, 48-month special financing, and as our gift to you, a free accessory buyer's card. There's something here for everyone, including gift cards. Merry Christmas from Room to Room Tupelo.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
It is officially the end of the work week, and the weekend is right around the corner. Some of us may have plans tonight. Some of those plans may include watching some college football. We'll be talking the latest on those matchups and Will's winners as we get into the 6 o'clock broadcast. But welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and yes, we're tracking sports, but we are also tracking those skies we are weather, Mississippi Live Weather. So, of course, giving you the latest on that forecast heading into this weekend. Where that weekend begins, cold temperatures, they do continue. But that's just for now. This brief hiccup in what's actually a warm pattern will continue heading into our Saturday and Sunday. So as you can see, much warmer come Saturday afternoon, and that continues into your Sunday, into early next week, and yes, into your Christmas. Leads us to our last headline. What does that mean for Christmas? Well, I'm dreaming of a warm Christmas, that's for sure. At least that's what folks are saying here in North Mississippi. We'll be tracking the latest details coming up here in the Room to Room Weather Center in just a moment. The first 12, 7 p.m., 40 degrees right now about the 7 o'clock hour. But as we head into those overnight hours, you can see that gradual decline and right around freezing once again for the start of our Saturday morning. So layers, keep them on standby, especially for any of those late evening plans and early Saturday morning plans. But beyond that, sunshine will be out and about, warming up our atmosphere and making for a beautiful forecast for the rest of our Saturday once that cold air moves on out of here. Cleveland reporting station is currently down, but we're getting a great shot there of those clear, calm nights. Folks out and about, probably getting some of that last-minute Christmas shopping in. I mean, it is the last weekend before our holiday begins there for Christmas Eve and Christmas, so I'm sure folks getting some last-minute gifts, that is for sure. We talked about one of those last-minute gifts at the 5 o'clock broadcast. We'll talk about that a bit more coming up here in just a moment. Starkville tonight, one of our North Mississippi college towns, 43 degrees, dew points currently at 28 degrees. So that dry air still in place and giving us these beautiful nights. I do see a few stars out there in Oktibbeha County, so perfect night to get out and about. But students in Starkville have already head on home and enjoying those holiday plans. So fortunately, not going to be too packed for those cookout runs tonight if you are still in Starkville. Speaking of running, or should I say driving this evening, Oxford, the place to be heading into tonight and your Saturday. 39 degrees right now, so those temperatures are declining, but it is the college football playoff kickoff happening tomorrow at 2:30 against the Tulane Green Wave, and Oxford is already buzzing with excitement as we get into that matchup. So our Mississippi Live Weather Radar, as you can see, dry across the region. So that includes folks in Oxford, Starkville, as well as Tupelo, Booneville, Grenada, you name it, you're dry. That's how we're sticking around into those evening hours. But earlier on, we were tracking a bit of this rainfall, especially during those overnight hours. So as you can see, right along the Alabama state line, some decent amounts of rainfall, about 3/4 of an inch. If we look at the entirety of our Thursday, it was well above an inch in some spots. So much needed rainfall, accommodating for some of those drought conditions. But as of right now, dry conditions are back in the forecast. But all that rainfall moved through with a bit of damage as well. As we look at our Mississippi Live Weather Radar, you can see a few of those reports popping up, but just basically trees across highways. But I want to note one thing. Non-severe thunderstorm wind damage. So these gusts happened without those severe weather thresholds, but still impactful, might I add. And even down there in Lowndes County, same thing. That was along the Alabama state line, right along Highway 12. But let's look up the northeast and look at the amount of reports increasing as that frontal boundary pushed out towards the east. Nashville, North Alabama actually getting a tornado warning. So we said it's not an impossibility for tornadoes. Proven. They're in North Alabama. Luckily, I think that everyone came out of that okay. Damage wasn't too extensive, but yes, trees down all across the North Alabama area. All that carrying over into West Virginia, North Carolina, and now you're getting snow well up there into the northeast part of the United States. Did see a snow squall warning earlier on this evening, so if you want a white Christmas, I guess, Boston, D.C., Baltimore, those are the places to be, not here in North Mississippi, as we are cooling off for a brief moment, but then warming back up into that extended forecast. So our Mississippi Live weather radar surface analysis does have high pressure right over the top of us and will continue to remain there into that 6, 7, 8 o'clock hour this evening, and that keeps those skies dry for those evening plans. High pressure does taper off there towards the east, so we are getting that southerly wind back into the forecast. And one of the things I talked about was as high pressure is further away from the area, but that ridging pattern is still in place, those winds get a little bit more gusty. So Little Rock, as well as Shreveport and over here in North Mississippi, as we head into those early morning hours of our Saturday, getting a little bit more gusty with about 5 to 10 miles an hour on those speeds. So Saturday morning, heading out the door, still going to be dry, but those breezy conditions maybe knocking those temperatures down a degree or two, making it even colder for any of those early morning plans we may have. High pressure tapering off onto the Atlantic coast, and then we get our frontal boundary building in back behind it. That's going to be our next weather maker, but not going to be nearly as significant as what we had for Thursday. We'll break that down coming up here in just a moment. But let's go ahead and enjoy what we have right now. And that is a beautiful forecast tonight and heading into our Saturday. You can see 6 a.m., 33 degrees, right around freezing. Feels like values could be in the upper 20s for some. But as the day goes on, that sunshine, that southerly breeze going to allow for those warmer conditions to push in place. 57 by noon, 61 degrees by 3 o'clock. And then into our Saturday evening plans, not going to be nearly as cold. So for those that enjoy the cold, soak it all in, because beyond today, it's only up from here, and that includes your Christmas forecast. One of the many things we'll be talking about here in the Room to Room Weather Center coming up in the next 60. We're also going to be breaking down some of those plans for college football forecasts. It's your college football playoff on Saturday and your Sunday forecast with those limited rain chances. All of that coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in the next 60.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Eli over there in the chat asking, are we getting snow anytime soon? Well, Eli and all of North Mississippi, this is as cold as things are going to be over the next 7 days, and you can imagine that includes your Christmas holiday as well. So dreaming of a white Christmas, well, we got to change a word in there, and that's that word dreaming of a warm Christmas, and that's what we're going to be getting here in North Mississippi. But I did say it's going to be cold tonight. 39 degrees in Amory, Monroe County, just going to be another cool night heading into your Saturday morning. Not just in Monroe County, even as we track those conditions over around Crenshaw, a little bit more of that cloud cover, but still very thin, not going to be impactful to those skies. 39 degrees tonight. Again, a beautiful evening, but beautifully cold across Magnolia State. Columbus active tonight. Folks trying to get those last minute Christmas gifts. Luckily, we still have 6 days until Christmas, so there's still some time. But if you're not doing it this weekend, then you might be out of luck come this week. 46 degrees right now. Honestly, I feel like the anxiety of Christmas shopping is probably heating up the area down there in Columbus a little bit more than other parts. But nonetheless, those temperatures are on the decline, and we'll see those cool conditions once again in place for our Saturday morning. So right now, 40 in Tupelo, Boonville, Senatobia, 43 Grenada, Greenwood, and 44 Cleveland. I do see 48 Greenville, so there are a few areas still in the upper 40s. But as night sets in, those temperatures do start to drop off, and we're seeing a pretty steep temperature change over the past 24 hours. If you remember, this time yesterday, Matt and I were doing coverage on the severe weather potential here in North Mississippi. Severe weather doesn't really happen with cold temperatures. So the fact that we're seeing cold temperatures now and no severe weather should tell you how significant of a drop we're talking about. And if my words don't say enough, maybe these numbers do. A 20 to 25 degree temperature change from this time yesterday. Is it cold enough for you? Well, don't worry. Things do get better. Things do warm up. So enjoy those cool conditions while they are here. Unfortunately, that does mean that we may need to have an extra layer for those dinner plans. 38 degrees by 8, 36 by 9, and 35 degrees by 10. But you see the great part of this forecast, and that's those clear conditions sticking around all evening long, allowing for that heat to escape. Yes, and that's making for those cold conditions Saturday morning, but we'll take it if it means that we're going to stay dry and stay clear. So Futurecast tonight, not tracking anything on our Futurecast. Continues to stay dry, continues to stay clear. The occasional cirrus cloud, not an impossibility, but those so thin that it's not going to be impactful to our forecast. More moving in back behind it, but still mostly clear conditions linger in the forecast for our early hours of our Saturday and even lingering into that morning commute. But we didn't tell you that rainfall was concerned. We told you cold temperatures. And let's go ahead and get into those low temperatures. As you see right here, 33 Holly Springs, New Albany, as well as up around Corinth and Iuka, 32 Amory, Columbus, and Starkville. So around freezing if you live along the Alabama state line. Further out towards the west, we're talking 36 Clarksdale, 37 Cleveland, as well as Belzona, and 38 around Greenville. When we factor in that wind chill, told you it's going to be a little bit breezy for the start of our Saturday morning. Yeah, dropping it into the upper 20s for feels like values, and out west, feeling right around freezing. So no exceptions to the rule. It's going to be cold all across the north half of the Magnolia State, and we need to make sure that we have ways to stay warm. But as the day goes on, one of the best ways to stay warm is when the atmosphere just wants to shift the pattern. And this southerly wind, as well as that sunshine we're going to be getting in the forecast on our Saturday, that is allowing for those temperatures to shift as soon as our Saturday afternoon. You can see right here by 9 o'clock, still with those mostly clear skies, gusty conditions out of the south, about 10 to potentially 15 mile an hour gust. Not an impossibility as we keep that forecast going into our lunchtime hour. Going to be great for any lunch plans that you may want to make. Head over to the park. It's going to be a good looking day all the way around. Afternoon plans shaping up pretty well as well. And same thing with kickoff over there in Oxford as the Ole Miss Rebels take on the Tulane Green Wave. You can see Oxford, beautiful conditions, clear skies, breezy conditions though, so kickers beware. Not the forecast you want to see, but either way, the fans definitely taking those clear skies all day long. Hopefully securing that win there in Oxford against the Green Wave, and the second time these two teams are meeting. And again, we'll hear from our Will Kohlmeyer in just a moment on that matchup, but we're hoping that we take care of business once again. So as that cold front pushes into North Mississippi, that's going to be that limited chance for rainfall come Sunday. We'll track that out here in just a moment. Let's first focus on the great weather we will have on our Saturday. 61 degrees in New Albany and Tupelo and Amory, 63 Starkville, Louisville, and Houston, 65 Grenada, and 66 there towards Kosciuszko. So warming up, like I said, from a cold start to an above average afternoon. Going to be able to soak up all of those temperatures by the time we get into those afternoon plans. So Saturday evening, you do see this limited round of moisture start to move in. Now, I do think that the strike model's a bit over-aggressive on our coverage, but at least a couple of sprinkles here and there, not an impossibility as we wrap up our Saturday. But as we keep going with our forecast, you can see this front linger into those overnight hours and for the start of our Sunday. Wrapping up there on the east side of our area by 3 a.m. Then as we get towards that morning commute, you can see some of that leftover moisture trying to stick around in the forecast, but going to be limited in coverage, and even then, we're not talking about impactful rainfall, still light showers, so don't go right home about it, but nonetheless, we're still going to have a chance for rainfall early Sunday. But as the day goes on, all that moisture wipes on out, and we're left with those clear, sunny skies once again. Northerly breeze is going to be giving us about 5 to 10 miles an hour, but that's cycling in that drier air, and if we expand things out just slightly, you can see how all of that moisture perfectly south of our viewing area, and there's where it will sit into those afternoon plans, but won't sit there forever. The unfortunate part of the forecast is those sunny skies are not going to be here forever. As we get into our Sunday evening, you can see some of that moisture already climbing back up into Arkansas, southwest Mississippi, and then on into the rest of our area by the early AM hours of our Monday. And of course, this moisture does make way for some light showers as well, but again, not going to be too impactful whenever it comes to those rain chances. Bringing it back in here to North Mississippi, high temperatures on Sunday, taking a step back due to that front, but also due to some of that rainfall in the area, only going to be in the mid-50s there. Corinth, Boonville, Iuka, 58, Tupelo, Houston, and Bruce, 59 in Grenada, 56 Clarksdale, and 61 around Belzona and Kosciuszko. So if we take this forecast into our entirety of the weekend, you can see it's a great looking forecast. Saturday, 61 degrees with sunshine galore all day long. Sunday, partly cloudy, but 58 degrees, nothing to complain about at all. Mostly dry forecast, but warmer temperatures in there. We're definitely going to enjoy every bit of that as we get into that extended pattern. So taking a look at the start of your Saturday, going to be at freezing for the start, climbing into the low 60s by the afternoon. Big part is just because how much sunshine we'll see, but that warmer air is going to be consistent over the next several days. 58 Sunday, 59 Monday, even with that limited round of moisture as well. Drying things up, temperatures just get even higher. 68 degrees Tuesday, into the 70s for Christmas Eve, continuing with the 70s into Christmas Day. So whoever had on their list that they wanted warm temperatures from Santa, it worked, because that's exactly what we'll be experiencing heading into our holiday season. We're going to be looking a little bit more at that forecast coming up on Mississippi Live Weather in the next 60. Any questions you may have on that Christmas forecast, we'll talk latest details on that here in the next 60 on the 6 o'clock broadcast. But we thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you back here in just a moment.
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that I would never be able to get over it and that my kids wouldn't have a father. I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. For the longest time, fear held me back from ultimately being who I wanted to. I had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Well, it's another night in December, and that means our Merry and Bright Christmas light promo continues here at Mississippi Live Weather. We got 2 submissions tonight. This one from Jessica. I love this setup. The big reason why is because the Christmas shopping looks like it's wrapped up, literally. But it is a great setup there. Love the lights, love the tree. I think that is some tinsel on there. Matt and I talking about that a little bit earlier on this week. But I love a little bit of tinsel. And then you got Santa there. It's just a great setup there that they have. And not just Jessica, but also Bridget submitting this picture. And this is an outdoor Christmas tree setup. And I love folks that are able to set up some of these outdoor Christmas trees because, you know, I'd like to, but our trees are 20 feet high. I can't put ornaments that high. I don't want to get up on a ladder. It's dangerous. But it is a great sight whenever you're able to get, you know, one of these 6-7 foot trees in place and get it lit up, get those ornaments on it. And that's a great setup. So great job, Bridget, and great job there to Jessica just submitting these pictures. We appreciate that very much. But great job on just celebrating the season and bringing that joy that Christmas brings. Okay, I know this just went through a ton of everything, so forgive me on that. We're going to actually walk through this forecast in a bit more detail as we track out future temperatures heading into your Christmas. Of course, I know there's rainfall Sunday and Monday, but that's very, very limited. That's not really what we're paying attention to. We're all looking towards that extended pattern, and that is that Christmas forecast. So let's track it out. Saturday afternoon, you can see that warmer air already building in place. We're talking low 60s across the north half of the state with 70s, mid 70s, all the way down there towards Texas, potentially for 80 degrees around Houston. My word. All right, let's keep that going into your Sunday afternoon. And you can see that warm temperatures once again start to climb. But the biggest thing that's preventing it is that frontal boundary, bringing in some of that cooler air, and that's why we're only topping out in the low to mid 50s. Very seasonable for this time of year, but that does not last forever. Let's keep that going into your Monday, and you're probably going to see similar temperatures, so not much change in that forecast. Potentially a little bit of a climb, but still going to be relatively similar to our Sunday. But then the rain chances clear out, and that's where the real heat begins. As we get into our Tuesday morning and Tuesday afternoon, starting off mild, and by the afternoon, we're getting into the 70s. Yes. Are you ready for that forecast? It's going to be a toasty one for sure, at least for this time of year. And as we get into our Wednesday, more of that heat starts to build once again, a mild start, and we're getting back into the 70s by the afternoon. So Christmas Eve, you're looking at 6 and 7 o'clock where those Christmas Eve services begin. 62 degrees Tupelo, 67 in Starkville. One of the things that I like to do is always wear a sweater on Christmas Eve. Not this year. Not this year with those temperatures. I think that it's going to be a bit too warm, so we might get see what short sleeve Christmas sweaters that we have here at the Maynard household. But getting into our Christmas Yeah, everyone asking, is it going to be a white Christmas? I mean, this is as low temperatures that we're going to get. 57 degrees. 57 degrees is actually our normal high for this time of year. And this is happening at 6 a.m. on your Christmas Eve, kids waking up, getting ready to open those presents. And you can see that those temperatures just climb. So the later you wake up, the warmer it'll be. And by the time we get into our afternoon, I mean, you see the high temperatures we're talking about with 74 in Starkville, 72 in Tupelo, and that orange showing up all across the Magnolia State. So it is just going to be well above average on, I would argue, uncomfortably warm for this time of year. My body has transitioned to that cold season, so I don't want it to be warm like this. I like a little brief warm up, but that's a bit extreme. And as we keep that forecast going, of course, into your Friday, things start to take a little bit of a step back. Not really. I mean, it's still going to be warm. So hope you're ready for those warm temperatures, going to stick with us into the Christmas season. Maybe we get a break by our New Year's, but we'll continue to talk about that as we get more into the forecast. Christmas is, of course, the one right around the corner, and that's what we're all paying attention to. So Christmas Eve, 71 degrees. Christmas, 72 degrees. Partly cloudy conditions, but luckily it's not going to be anything rainy with that forecast, and we'll continue to enjoy those mostly dry conditions both days. All right, football tonight. Are you ready for it? Well, Alabama kicking off against Oklahoma here in about 30 minutes or so. So we're wrapping up Mississippi Live weather. Go ahead and grab some dinner. Come back to the house and you will be all set to watch the Crimson Tide take on the Boomer Sooner Nation over there in Norman, Oklahoma. 54 degrees by that first play, 51 degrees by halftime. Same thing towards that final snap. Clear conditions all game long, but breezy. 17 to 18 mile an hour sustained winds with gusts up to 25 to 30 miles an hour. It's going to be, wind is going to play a factor. You know, we often want to talk about, sports maybe, sports and weather, they don't correlate. Oh, they definitely do. And this will definitely be impactful for both teams as they go about the game tonight. 7 p.m. on your Friday. Our local game here in North Mississippi is Tulane coming to Oxford to take on the Ole Miss Rebels and kick off there. 62 degrees, 61 by halftime, and 56 by that final snap. Sunshine all day long. A forecast you got to smile about. It's looking like some great conditions. And of course, I'm not the expert on sports. That is our Will Kohlmeyer. He joins us with what to expect with the matchup and forecast some of those Will's winners. And we'll see who he has coming out on top tonight and for your Saturday.
Welcome to Kohlmeyer's Corner, a Will's Winners edition. I continue my previews right outside Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, which will be the place to be this Saturday afternoon for the first ever college football playoff game in the Magnolia State, Ole Miss and Tulane. For the season so far, 35-6 record-wise for Will's Winners. And they're calling this game, of course, many of them, the biggest game in the history of college football here in the Magnolia State. Some are saying it's the biggest sporting event ever in Mississippi. But either way, it's going to be a heck of an atmosphere. The city of Oxford will be full. I mean full to the limit. A sellout crowd inside that stadium Saturday afternoon. And one of the reasons why Ole Miss is playing in this game is the play of quarterback Trinidad Chambliss. What a story he has been. The coaches around the league this week voted him the newcomer of the year in the SEC, and that was a no-brainer. Last year, Diego Pavia of Vandy won that award, and the first ever award handed out as the newcomer of the year, and he deserved that last year, and Chambliss definitely deserved that this year. Another reason why Ole Miss is playing in the college football playoff is the guy that hangs out with Chambliss in that backfield, of course, Kewan Lacey, the #1 overall scorer in the Southeastern Conference, depending on whatever position you're talking about. #1 in rushing touchdowns with 20. He's second in the league in rushing yards, and he's averaged 5 yards a carry with a long of 59 this year. And another stat that really jumped out to me. Okay, so he's got 258 carries. He's caught 25 passes. So he's touched the ball, 283 times? And guess how many times he's fumbled it? Once. And that time, they didn't even lose it. The Rebels recovered that fumble. So once he has it, he will guard and protect that football like no other. And Kewan Lacey and the Rebels getting ready for this one against Tulane. They beat Tulane by 5 touchdowns in this stadium back in September. It should be closer than that, but definitely go with Ole Miss to advance to the second round, and it'll be in the Sugar Bowl against Georgia. It'll be yet another rematch, just like their rematch this week with Tulane. Now, speaking of rematches, the Crimson Tide lost to Oklahoma in the regular season in Tuscaloosa, and it's a rematch of that game in the first round. It's an 8 versus 9, so it should be the best game of the weekend, and a lot of folks are expecting it, as well as I am. Crimson Tide 10-3. The Sooners playing at home. They are 10-2. Alabama is the slight favorite, and I'm leaning toward Alabama. Why? Well, remember in the first game in Tuscaloosa, Ole Miss turned the ball over 3 different times. That led to 17 Oklahoma points. They also gifted the Sooners a field goal missed late in the first half by Alabama, and I don't think the Crimson Tide are going to be that charitable this week. And I'm going to go with Alabama on the road over Oklahoma to advance to the second round, which will be a Rose Bowl battle on New Year's Day against the number 1 overall seed, the undefeated Hoosiers of Indiana, that have been really, truly the story in college football nationally. But Ole Miss pretty close to that, being 11-1 and in the playoffs for the first time. So Ole Miss at home, Alabama on the road. My 2 picks this week on Will's Winners. But that's the story here in Oxford. We'll send it back to the studio.
Well, some bold picks. I think Ole Miss is a safe one, especially after what happened earlier on in the season. But I'm going to knock on wood. I don't want to be the one to blame. I'm hopeful they should take care of business, but should is a key word in that sentence. And then, of course, Alabama in Oklahoma. I don't know. If I were to make a Gabe's guessing, that's what we're going to call it, I would say that Oklahoma might prevail because Oklahoma beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Now they're at home. I don't know. Again, it's a Gabe's guess. It's not a Will's winner. So I would opt more on Will's side of things, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. But I know we have some Roll Tide fans in the chat. Jade, of course, wishing the best either way. Of course, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens and have that update here on Mississippi Live Weather at 10. We can't wait to see you guys there, but we hope that you guys do have a fantastic Friday getting out and about this evening. Go ahead and get that free Mississippi Live Weather app to track the latest on those conditions heading out the door. Going to be a cold one, but still a beautiful night here in the Magnolia State. Our next broadcast is happening at 10 o'clock. Can't wait to see you guys there. And of course, our shows throughout the weekend is at 6 and 10 p.m. with meteorologist Caleb Edelblut. He'll keep tracking that Christmas forecast for you, and he'll keep tracking warmer weather as a result. We can't wait to see you guys later on this evening at 10 o'clock. And until then, you guys have a fantastic Friday.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog, but she's little.
Do you have any unlocked guns around the house?
We do have a gun, but it's stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah, of course.
If you're a family of 4, 5,
or 6, 7,
Merry Christmas from Mississippi Live Weather.
That was good.
I think that was the one.
Okay.
There we go.
oh, you guys didn't do it.
No, we didn't.